Hey everyone, welcome to Basic Binges. I'm Sabina Graves, your host here on Nom Talk Network. I'm also a writer at IO9 and I've been recapping the Moon Knight series over there for them as well. But my favorite part of Moon Knight Wednesday is hanging out with my friends here and talking about the episode. So I'm excited to introduce you to our awesome panel. There's never a smooth way to transition to like people introducing themselves. So I'm gonna toss my imaginary crescent moon thing to Whitney.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm happy to be back here and talk all Moonlight and all Oscar Isaac. So, oh yeah, and then next to me, I'm gonna toss it over to Mike.
Wait, which one? Moon Knight? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I could because I could toss this.
You just grabbed it, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Hey, Whitney. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sabina, for having me on again. Moon Knight, Mike here. How's everyone doing? Excited to get into episode 3. Mike Lee is below me, so I'm gonna drop this to Mike Lee. Mike,
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Okay. So I am Mike Lee. Like the other Mike said, and I write for That's It LA. We Live Entertainment and the Nerds of Color. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, y'all. We are all like basically halfway, right? 6 episodes for the show.
Yeah.
And
mid-season. Yeah.
Mid-season, and things are picking up. We have friends and foes racing to Egypt. Harrow's on his way to Amit's tomb. Mark is trying to work alone. Leila is like, I got this. And I just loved the opening, which kind of sets up all these like different moving parts in regards to who's going to get there first. What are y'all's initial thoughts on, you know, this setup and kind of how it all plays out?
So I like how this thing is jumping to different genres seamlessly, and it just creates this unexpected excitement. It's like, oh my gosh, first we have this, you know, dark psychological thriller, and now we're going into this whole treasure hunting, who gets there first to the tomb sort of thing. So I really like that, and it still maintains that kind of you know, psychological dynamic between Mark and Steven, as well as Leila. It's like, okay, you know, this is all interesting, but who am I talking to, sort of thing. But yeah, that's what I like about the show so far.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. For me, ever since the first episode, Moon Knight has been doing things that we haven't seen at all in the MCU. From the unreliable narrator to the horror elements, and now we're getting to the Raiders of the Lost Ark mummy type stuff.
Yes.
We haven't seen anything like this in any Marvel movie. There's always MacGuffins in every action movie over $100 million budget, of course, but you know, this in the treasure in the desert archaeology kind of feel, it's a really awesome throwback to it, and I know that they're just scratching the surface with this episode, but getting to see these blends of horror and psychological drama and you know, archaeological adventure movie, it's just really exciting. Whitney, what did you think?
Yeah, legit the same thing. It's so exciting to see adventure and horror, and you're just kind of like, you don't know what to expect. And it's really cool seeing like the archaeological side, but also like learning more about Egyptology and also the cultural side of things, and kind of embracing a new culture. It's so much fun. I'm all on board.
Yes, no, definitely touching on what you said, Whitney, the way that it handles just like all little cultural details and nuance so authentically. The director, you know, said that he wasn't a fan of how Egypt's been portrayed in a lot of Western media, and he really wanted it to, you know, be what he grew up in. And I think for any of us who have seen our cultures like in various ways depicted over time and in pop culture, it's so exciting to see this, like every little thing. And like there were the small touches in the opening scene, like with her affiliate who was forging her passport, how she dug into like the jar of Turkish delights, like that was really cool and cute. I could like see how that is just like so relatable. I mean, at least I would think so in ways that were like, oh yeah, like this makes sense and like is really believable. And it wasn't like, it done in a way that was like super obvious. It was just like, it was subtle and it was awesome. And now I want to know what Turkish delight tastes like.
I've never had a Turkish delight, and forgive me, I totally thought those were marshmallows.
There were marshmallows as well.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute.
Just like a jar of marshmallows.
Is that a Zemo thing? Is that a Turkish delight? Like, wait.
I was like, did she just, maybe that's just telling about her childhood. She just had like loved marshmallows and they used to give her marshmallows when she was in the office. But no, Turkish delights makes way more sense. And I love that, so yeah, now I'm curious about what they taste like.
Michael Lee, have you had any Turkish delights before?
I've never had one.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
I don't know where to find them either. I should have just Google it actually now that I think about it, but yeah.
Oh, you find them at Narnia. That's
I was
where you
about
find
to
them.
say Narnia.
Yeah.
Narnia. I don't have a closet.
Yeah, I only really know Turkish delights from some of the things we've seen them in with like in Marvel, and also the Mickey Mouse shorts. There's a whole episode about Mickey Mouse selling Turkish delights, and it's really adorable. But they seem to be like some of them seem marshmallowy, but then some of them seem gelatinous, I would say, and they're like very powdered. And very like square. So they come in like these trays usually that are like in these like very distinct shapes of like just flat squares laid out, or like in that jar they're just like really stacked and stuff. They're not like weirdly misshapen like marshmallows. I think they actually have different flavors to them. They're not some weird like thing of puff sugar.
I feel like they, you could probably find them. You know how sometimes TJ Maxx has like those boxes of chocolates that you can give people for Christmas? I feel like you could find them there.
Yeah, but, like at a grocery store or like a bakery or something.
You know who might have them? World Market.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
They would totally have them.
Yeah, like
in the Moon Knight section.
Right? In the Moon Knight section.
Exactly.
In the Moon Knight section.
Maybe I'll attempt to make them. And we'll see.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that'd be pretty dope.
That'd be really cool. Oh my gosh. Do it. But yeah, no, I love the opening with Leila. She is so charming and just like is on it. She's like, I don't need no guy to like hunt this stuff down. Like she's very determined. And
yes,
we find out about her father through the affiliate, like some people were like, is that her mom or is that like a relative? I didn't really get the vibe of like that intimate of a family member, but I did get the vibe that like they went way back, and that she knew that she was basically cut from the same cloth as her father, with growing up in dig sites and being her dad's little scarab, which I'm like, oh, that's a tie to the MacGuffin, y'all. Like, what do we think like her connection to that might be?
Well, I think that there's that connection between it just leads up to something bigger, basically, between Mark. Yeah, I think Mark, because I'm trying to remember who's who in this scenario. But there's going to be a reveal of some sort, there's. I'm so sorry. I am like tripping out, but there's a connection between Mark and the father, which is why Leila feels like sort of a closeness to both of them. So that's my thoughts on it. But seeing the episode, I'm trying not to spoil it all.
We randomly jump ahead. It's okay. We try to like just be like, oh, this ties into something like, and then we kind of just bring it back. So
I'm not trying to spoil it.
Yeah. If anyone is here and like not seen the episode, what are you doing? Leave the stream.
Spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
I try
'cause-
not to,
But
like,
it's in the
but I
title.
think
This
there's a
is in,
connection.
like,
Oh yeah.
you click on this, you know,
Yeah.
it's spoiler talk. So you're good, Mike. You're good. Yeah, no, there's oh my gosh. So yeah, speaking of which person we're following in Oscar Isaac's fine body. The episode kicks off with him as Mark Spector jumping around on rooftops, being like an awesome spy sort of person and like punching information out of people who won't give him information. You know, we get to see more of Harrow's disciples in that regard, like trying to, you know, dodge him. I would even say trying to even distract him away from where Harrow actually is. And you get
Ooh.
the back and forth between Mark and Steven, where Steven doesn't want to do anything violent and he tries to take him back to the airport again. But then we get a full and complete blackout to where both Steven and Mark are very confused as to what went down. What do you guys think went down? Like who did the thing? Who did the murder, y'all?
I think all of us are thinking the same thing, right? Whitney?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
yeah.
Whitney.
Yeah. It's, I think we're going to get introduced to a third personality.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be Jake Lockley, I believe.
Jake Lockley. Mhm.
And yeah, so that should be interesting. We'll see what approach they take with him, but I definitely think this is going to be the third personality.
What can you tease about Jake that you think might come into play?
I know that he is well, I don't know if tease, I'm trying to like tease around it. He's a taxi driver. I was like,
Well, it fits, honestly,
Yeah, it fits.
with that all that scenario.
so he's definitely going to be more of the violent kind of, we think Mark's violent, but even then Mark is still kind of holds himself back, you know what I mean? Because like he could have for example, he could have thrown people off the cliff, or he was, you know, he kind of had a soft spot for that young kid because he's just a kid to Khonshu. And I think this is where Jake would have just been like a little more brutal.
Mhm.
So
It's funny because you can't really tease anything with this show. They're
Yeah.
straying pretty far away from the source material.
yeah,
With a character like Steven, you would have expected him to be that billionaire that could afford to pay for a Moon Knight copter and all this other
Mhm.
stuff, and his loyal, trusty sidekick Frenchie. That's out the window at this point in time in this interpretation. So if
Mhm.
they do introduce Jake, we could get the cab driver who, you know, for the purposes of the comic, his persona as the cab driver was really to make sure that he has his ear to the ground and hears all these street level crimes
Mhm.
happening. It's almost like Spider-Man listening to the police radars, right? But at the same time, because they've thrown that book out the window, as far as we know, the one thing that I'm really curious about that I would love to see, but I don't think Marvel's going to go there necessarily. I think it would be crazy if Jake Lockley was like a serial killer type, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like that.
It might
It
be,
would be
honestly.
Like Jack the Ripper, like, or something. Ooh.
like to have him and Steven and even Khonshu have to battle that persona of him. You know, that would be really creepy, but really interesting as well, and kind of introduces you to a darker side of
Mhm.
the personalities that, you know, Stephen Mark is kind of manifesting in his head. So I'd love to see something like that, which would be a completely out of left field twist for fans of comics. But I don't know. Mike Lee, what did you think?
Everything that you said is just, and Whitney said, it was just, because I'm not familiar with the source material. I've just been catching up with it right now. But I like all your theories, and you know, yeah.
Yes. No, thank you for like filling us in on some of that like context about who that might be. Because like
Yeah.
Michael Lee and I were coming into this world like, oh my gosh, who are these people? Who are these characters? And like Moon Knight, Mike said, like, you know, they are taking a bit of different things from the different runs, but they're not entirely remaining completely faithful to them. They're really, you know, creating an interpretation that fits the story that like the showrunner really wants to tell. So I think that's really awesome. And, you know, you really get a sense of a different sort of take on not only this character but imbuing the different genres on it, because like you definitely get, especially in like the rooftop scenes, like the whole like Born Identity sort of like vibe where, you know, he's like trying to track down who did what and where they're going. I've never I'm talking about, but this is what it seems like to me, where there's lots of running and lots of like rooftops. But no, just in the sense that there's like this action genre that is being put in this movie. But yeah, like when he has like that teen kid though, what I found like really scary and like kind of like dark was, you know, this idea of complete like faith in Amit, because this kid had a red scarf on him, and red is like a big thing in this episode. Like there's so many characters, I think even in some of the past ones, but more so in this episode, that have some sort of red coloring on them. And he has that scarf, and he cuts his own scarf off and lets himself fall rather than to betray Amit. And I thought that was really intense, but kind of shows that they're really up against something that, you know, is terrifying. But that also reminds me of back in the Hail Hydra days where people would rather kill themselves than expose what the plans are.
Little poison capsule in their tooth.
Little
Yes.
poison capsule in the tooth.
Yeah, MCU cults, man, they're the worst. They're like death cults. Just never join a cult unless it's the Avengers. Then it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So what did you guys think of like sort of like that aspect of it, and kind of like Khonshu was really like, he didn't care. He was like, oh, I thought he was going to talk, and seemed very nonchalant.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because Khonshu, and we're probably going to get to this, Sabina. I know that you're leading up to this, so forgive me if I'm jumping a slight bit ahead. We get to a point later on where we see how the Egyptian gods think about humans, you know. But the irony, of course, is that Khonshu seems to be, as you know, we'll get to later, the one that seems to be the most sympathetic about humans, and yet he was just like, kid died doing this, you know. So it's almost like maybe he still has that affection for humanity, unlike a lot of other Egyptian gods, or let's say gods from space that are birthed of celestials. But you know, I think he is callous when it comes to justice, you know. Uncompromising.
Yes.
Like, is
Just
it more of a duty thing to him, or does he like care, you know? And I don't think you didn't really jump too far ahead, because, you know, the next part is, you know, Khonshu's big bad idea is to make an eclipse signal a meeting of the gods to put Harrow on trial. And then that's when we kind of get that sense of, you know, he's doing that because he's trying to protect humanity from Harrow, utilizing, you know, Amit's sort of like power of judgment to wipe out more people again, because that works every time. That's like our Death Star, y'all. And you know, we go in and we meet some of these gods that you're talking about, and their avatars, as part of this sort of trial. You know, we meet like Hathor, who is the goddess of love, who has a past with Khonshu, and they're also known as the goddess of the sky. So, you know, which actually also kind of ties back to something little at the end. And we kind of like see this sort of like, they don't really care to be there, but they just are very much like, we're gonna punish Khonshu if he acts up, you know. Like I thought this trial was very, very not effective.
Yeah, it's almost like they had their
No.
minds made up already. You know, they're just
Yeah.
kind of like, here we are, we're detached from mankind. What do you want? You know?
There's something, you know, I would also, at a certain point, and I don't know, I think Marvel, being the geniuses that they are probably going to cross it all over. I alluded to space gods, or you know, just a couple minutes ago. I'd love to see what happens if, you know, because at the time of the Egyptian gods and pharaohs and pyramids and stuff, the Eternals were on Earth, you know. And much like these gods, they don't interfere with human affairs. I think that's just a god standpoint or something like that, or a rule. I mean, so it makes me wonder: are people like Osiris or Isis or whoever, are these guys kind of eternal-ish? Like are they also similar to that? Yeah, they had it out for Khonshu,
Mhm.
and they just didn't
Yes.
really, they didn't care about what he had to say. They just were really ready, willing, and able to just, discredit him and send him away. So in short, they suck. They're just, MCU gods are terrible, except
Oh
unless,
my gosh.
yeah. Um, yeah. Sorry,
No,
Mike Lee, what were you gonna
definitely.
say?
No, no,
Yeah.
no. What they're easily, I guess I would say they're easily duped into believing in Harrow, because Harrow was all on, how can you believe this guy? He has multiple like personality problems.
Yes, issues.
Conchu, you've known Conchu has issues. Why are you even giving him, the time of day to talk to, speak his mind? But yeah, I'm just here
He
because
shows up
he just
without the
shows up.
staff. No
Yeah,
staff.
Yeah.
no staff.
Yeah, he's
So
trying to be all like humble and manipulative and charming. Like,
yeah.
oh, it hurts me to say that this is a troubled man. I'm like, no, bro, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like he's very manipulative, and
Yeah.
he's so he uses words the way he speaks to his disciples and followers, like very comforting, and you drop your guard sort of thing, and then
Mhm.
that's how
Yeah.
the gods fall into place, basically.
Do you
And he
guys
had
think they all fall into place, or that at least some of them might be in on it?
Honestly,
Mm.
I
I
do think
wouldn't
some of
be
them.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
do
wouldn't put
think
it past them, especially one of the gods.
I would
Going a
say
little bit ahead, but yeah,
yeah,
especially one of the gods. I wouldn't be surprised.
Osiris, who I think was the one holding the court, right? He was
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of the lead Egyptian god. Um, I definitely think there's something up with him. He just seems like a jerk. But more than that, also I kind of love how Haro already kind of planned a lot of this. When he's with his followers as the eclipse is happening, he's like, I'm going to be taken really soon, because Khonshu's getting desperate, and I know what's going to happen right now. So he's all formulating all of this in his head. It wouldn't put past me, I wouldn't put it past him to have planned all of this in advance with whoever the avatar for Osiris is, or maybe some of the other gods that are present there. He's thinking a couple of steps ahead here. So yeah.
Yeah, and even when
Yeah.
like Conchus was like, "You guys betrayed humanity," and then he's like, "No, humanity like abandoned us." So it seems like this is like a vendetta, like
Mhm.
to be petty,
Yeah.
for sure.
And we had
Yeah,
like
because he said
5 gods missing too. Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Because didn't Conchu say something to the effect of like, this is a really, really bad idea, because I've done something stupid before. So that there is that, that history between them, that he's burned some bridges before.
Yeah.
yeah. And they even tell
Mhm.
him at the end of this trial, like, if you manipulate the sky one more time, that's it for you. We're gonna banish you into like a stone statue.
Hmm.
Like, it's serious.
Yes.
You got to wonder though, if a man who has been banished and who knows that, or I should say God, if a god that has been banished who knows that you don't like him is desperate enough to call court with all of you guys, I mean, shouldn't you take that seriously? I mean, like, he knows he's not welcome there, but he's violating all of these rules just to get an audience with you, because desperate times clearly call for desperate measures. So I just don't think that they give a crap about humanity, to be honest, at least
Yeah,
enough.
because like they could have gone to the dig site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right there, I
It's
mean,
right there. Go look around with your godly powers.
yeah, I mean, Hiro could go, oh, I was just visiting the sands with my army and a bunch of dig tools. We're not doing anything suspicious. I mean, like, come on, guys. If you just investigated further, I mean,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
even an inconvenience for them,
Luckily, Hathor did, pull Mark aside at the end and suggested that he go look for the grave of one of Amit's followers, Senfu, who was the only one that knew the location of the tomb and kept it secret from the gods. and kind of like gives him that lead to find that, and that makes him go over to like the marketplace and go up to like a juicer, which I'm like, honestly, I wanted a bag of juice when I saw that scene. I was like, I'm thirsty. Like, yeah, it's like some natural fruit juices for sure. And he didn't even get talked to. He was like, and Leila was like, I already got the information. They happened to bump into each other.
Yeah, that juice, by
adorable.
the that juice, by the way, that she was drinking. I saw an Instagram post from a friend of mine who's Middle Eastern. Apparently, it's carob juice, and all you have to do to make it is like take carob syrup and honey and like warm water and mix it all together. Then you can create yourself a bag of Leila carob juice. So
Ooh,
yeah,
Boom.
you can put
good
some
to
booze in it
know.
too. You know.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I liked this moment with Mark and Layla because it was very much like, former lovers, former partners, but we need each other. We got to work through our stuff, on this mission. And I thought that was very cute. I'm a sucker for those like adventure romances, like you
Just had
romancing the
that, yeah.
stone or
Roman,
like the mummy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Especially
Because
between four seas, you know.
yeah, because there was a moment that because Sabina was talking about this, where Layla's like, you know what, I would have helped you, if you just asked for it, sort of thing. But we all know how Mark is with his kind of male ego. It's like, no, I didn't need any help.
I mean, it was interesting though seeing him kind of be vulnerable to let Stephen in back for like the Egyptology aspect of things. And it was
Oh yeah.
interesting seeing him realizing he's like, okay, all right, I do need your help with this. All right, you're the brains. Here you go.
Mhm.
And just like that was cool to see too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought they were so charming, like on the boat and stuff, when they were like reminiscing about their wedding and the vulnerability aspect. And, Mark's starting to realize, like you said, that they do need Steven, although that takes a while for the episode. I think he like, you can tell he kind of realizes it, but he kind of like still is threatened by Steven, because like he kind of wants to be present when they meet up with Layla's former associate, Mogart, who y'all know as the Midnight Man. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Who is played by the late Gaspard Ulliel, who, tragically passed away in the past year. But, gave a really, cool performance as this character who, is like an underground collector of all sorts of artifacts and somehow has like a jousting like ring in the middle of his like outdoor museum. I guess that's a vibe.
He owns a medieval times restaurant in Cairo, and then he's got like artifacts there for people to browse while they eat their chicken and watch people jump. Yeah, he's the midnight medieval times man. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. And we got some interesting like location name drops in it because he
Mhm.
refers to Madripoor in regards to
Yes.
dealings with Leila. And we know what some stuff went
Ooh.
down there, if there's connections
Turkish
to
delights and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Two references.
Yeah, Madripoor is where you go for mediocre episodes. No, I'm joking.
the shade.
Oh, wow, we're going there.
No, I'm kidding. But the thing is, I think there's a lot of question because Moon Knight is such a new character. Again, we talked about how it's the first time a Disney Plus show is introducing a really original character to the MCU. There were a lot of questions originally about if this is part of the MCU. Is this tied to the MCU? How is it? I think the Madripoor reference definitively is a sign for everyone watching, and probably our first, that it is inherently part of this universe. It is taking place alongside things like Falcon Winter Soldier, like WandaVision, like all of these other things. So if there's any doubt about whether this was one-off or part of the whole story, part of the whole plan, there you go. It's part of it all. Madripoor, confirms that. So I did think that was a nice little reference. Yeah.
I really hope that she stole some stuff from Sharon.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's
That
what
would be
she
cool.
deserves.
Yes.
But
If that
yeah,
is even Sharon.
Scroll Sharon,
What's that?
maybe?
Scroll
No.
Sharon.
Skull
Yeah.
Sharon.
We will see. Also, like, sidebar, I love that Oscar Isaac's fake name in the scene is Rufino Estrada.
It's a good Easter egg. It's a good Easter egg.
It's a good Easter egg, y'all. Like, that's the name they went with. It's adorable. It's part of his real name. I don't get the Rufino part. Do you guys know if there's like a connection
No.
to that? I just thought it sounded like Rufio, and I wanted to be like Rufino, Rufino, as he was fighting.
No, I only caught the Estrada part, but the Rufino part. Yeah.
I didn't know the Rufino part. So.
Maybe an uncle of his. Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
He's been known to use some family, so yeah.
Yeah, and like, he tries to keep up this act and stuff, and like, go approaches the tomb because he wants to look at it, and then Leila's like, you should let Steven in so you can like know what he's doing, and he's like, no, I got this, like, puffing up his ego. And he can't hold it together and obviously blows it. And at the same time, Harrow shows up. Like, who alerted him? How did he know?
We see that purple magic again.
There's just something really funny about watching, Oscar Isaac in the background, like talking to himself, like, and people are like, what the hell is he doing? I don't know, just ways that they up the comedy in this without like going over the top. It's very subtly doing it. But yeah, I mean, Mark, man, you gotta learn to ask for help, buddy. You gotta do it in a nice way.
And then he just refuses just the entire time. And yeah, like Arthur shows up and does the purple like mind control, like, I will show you the powers that are like very much like Jafar's like snake eyes staff on him.
I literally had the
like
same
that.
thought.
Yes.
That's
I had
so
some
funny.
thoughts of like some
Right?
Aladdin-ness in it, but I also didn't want to like assume.
Well,
Like
I
in the
only
beginning
thought-
when he's running, I was totally, it's like one jump out of the bread line.
Yes.
I only thought
Sorry,
it was
Peter
Sierra,
Gilbert
but,
Godfrey, by the way.
but wow.
I think it's
Oh,
a good
yeah.
nod that reclaims these things, and
Yeah.
they're done right this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harrow being like the wild like sorcerer with the staff was great, and Mogart just like, what did he see? I want to know. Like, you see like all the treasures in all the world, and was just sort of easily swayed. I don't know, that happened too quickly for my taste, I would say. I was like, you're being offered not something tangible yet.
Well, he could be a greedy guy looking at his, estate and everything. He just wants more and more. So
Yeah.
the thought of getting an entire treasure rather than a piece of a puzzle, or however he said it, yeah, that just appealed to him.
And then Harrow blows up the tomb, which I thought was suspicious, because if like Senfu is a follower of Amit, like why would Amit be totally cool with destroying this tomb? So that's why I'm also like, are you sure you're working for Amit? Like,
Yeah, what's going on?
what's going on?
That's a good catch. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
And I thought it was really cool that Leila, used Mark being in a fight as a distraction to grab the pieces of the map. But what did y'all think about the fight sequence?
Phenomenal. Just seeing him in his cape and glory, it was everything. It was amazing. And for that split second, Mr. Knight shows up and he just gets impaled, and he's like, all right, Mark, have the body back.
This is wrong. This is a bad idea.
He's like, JK.
He's like, I'm a shish kebab. This is not cool. Time out.
Yeah,
Doing, Stephen. Oh my God. I bring this up constantly every week, but the imagery, especially in that fight, is
Mhm.
wonderful. from the shot of him at the top of the display case pyramid looking, building, where he's just like looking down. That's such a total Moon Knight shot, and then he jumps off and his cape forms a crescent moon.
So cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, this is Batman. This is our Batman.
And the score.
Layla's necklace.
Yes. She was just
I
like,
want
oh
that
my
necklace
gosh,
so
yeah.
bad.
That is going to be a handy necklace.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you Sales One's already on it,
Oh
like,
yeah.
Zales.
I was like, I can't wait to find that and buy it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
feel
God.
threatened? Here, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Such
a
a
good
cool-
sales pitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling threatened. Used by our necklace.
Oh man, just the way that he's launching crescent darts everywhere too. And even
Yeah.
when he
Because
protects,
he
yeah,
was
go
like
ahead.
grabbing it out of his chest, like
Yeah.
what the heck? How many
Like
of
an
how many
endless
can you fit in
supply.
there?
Yeah.
There's got to be a finite. Wait a minute, how many is he throwing? So yeah.
They really amplify his powers a lot here, because in the comics, these crescent knights it's equipment that he makes, right? He doesn't generate them out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So the fact that he could just spin around and like 5 of them fly out like batarang style, which is just awesome, with a flick of his cape is really cool. And even just like going in front of Leila with what you think is like this cloth cape and then shielding her, and the bullets are doing nothing. I like, he's got a bulletproof cloth cape. That's just awesome, that invulnerability. So pretty cool that they give him a little bit more powers here. Plus, it's established in the Moon Knight mythology that his powers, or his strength rather, it's dependent on the moon. And I believe there was a full moon in the background in this episode, right?
Ooh.
So when he's standing on the thing and he's got that hero shot, I think I saw the full moon kind of covered by some clouds. So I think that probably explains why he's like super powered in this one. And I love that. Those little details are just,
That's a good catch. I like that.
I'm always watching for the moon and what in this series.
You gotta with a show like Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
yeah. And then, Harrow disappears in a poof of purple, probably. And, we have like our main characters like back together again. Personally, I think Steven should save the marriage, but we have Mark once again being like, I'm taking over the body, and not knowing how to figure out the star map. And Layla's like, you have to bring Steven in. And even Khonshu is like, you gotta let Steven read this. And together, like, I think it's really cool that you get like Steven piecing the star together and being really adorable and cheeky to Leila. I loved all of their moments. And you get like, it's like a weird love triangle.
Can we talk about the transformation sequence where he's looking into the mirror as Mark and he's all hardened, and then all of a sudden with the change of his expression, it's a completely different character.
It's amazing.
Oscar Isaac
it just shows you his talents. Yeah,
so good.
You can like portray that without dialogue. That is just amazing.
Yeah, for the audience to know who's who just with a glance, just with a look.
Oscar Isaac does that thing with his eyes where he says so much but doesn't actually verbalize anything. You get lost in his eyes. He can do that for 2 different characters in 2 different characters' personalities, like witchcraft.
Yeah. Yes, genius moment. Oscar.
Oh,
good acting. Gosh. I also sorry, go ahead, please.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I this whole episode, him acting, even when he's the voice of Khonshu, coming out of him in the gods forum that he was at earlier in that episode, just like, it's a little over the top, sure, but like the way that he's gesticulating and the voice coming out, it's such a transformative role. If this gets overlooked for Emmy's consideration, there's just no justice in the television.
We are canceling all award shows.
Wait, if Don Cheadle can get an award or nomination for his one performance, I think Oscar Isaac can get something.
I mean, like between Oscar Isaac and Moon Knight and Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once, like if these award shows ignore these performances, then they are antiquated and should be over.
Agreed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I do want to bring up Leila again. She's just such a badass as well this whole episode. Like even in the moments where like Mark and Steven are having their struggles and they're being chased, you get like she has like the moment with the flares, right? That's this episode, right? Yes.
No.
No,
Wait,
no.
is it? No.
It's not.
It's not.
What?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
You meant she's got a lot of flair. That's what
There's a lot of
meant.
flair in
Yeah,
this episode.
that's what that was.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
Okay, this one. Okay.
Cover that up pretty well. Well done.
I don't
There's
they
a lot
get
of
chased
sand
in the
covered in
truck
a lot of
though?
sand.
What's that?
Don't they get chased in the truck though?
Somebody's following them. That much we know. Much we know.
Someone is following them.
There was a moment where they're driving across the desert and there's somebody,
just viewing them, viewing their business.
But we haven't met that. I mean, obviously they work for Haro. That's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
But we haven't met those people yet. There hasn't been a conflict with those people yet. It's kind of a Chekhov's gun waiting for a future episode.
But Leila has her little technology star map.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her star map iPad.
That much
Which
we
is
know. Yes.
handy. It's like, she is awesomely equipped with this technology on a tablet of sorts, which I personally love those apps on your phone where you can like see where the sky is and like kind of like see what stars are above you, which came in handy for this specifically because she was trying to scan the star that Steven had put together. But then they kind of realized that, oh no, like this is the sky from thousands of years ago. And that's when we get the moment where Khonshu says very like forlornly, I remember every night sky, which, has like, I feel like a double meaning because of course he's like such an eternal like God being, but also because he had a thing with the goddess of the sky. So of course he'd remember every single sky. And then manipulates the sky one more time to help them find the way to the tomb, which is a really big sacrifice.
One of the most beautiful moments in MCU history, in my opinion. We've never seen anything like that moment, them just literally, and forgive me for doing this because this was the only song that was playing in my head when I was watching it. They're rewriting the stars. There's Zendaya and Zac Efron, and they're rewriting the stars.
I mean, that's a good drop right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a gorgeous scene, and then everyone in Cairo is just seeing the stars, signified as lines, just moving back and forth across the sky. We've never seen anything like this, and it's such a beautiful freaking moment in anything that the MCU has done. So mad props to Mohamed Diab for that visual and for gifting that to us, because that is unique as hell. So
I want that to be my background on everything. There's so many gorgeous shots, like the close-ups of like him like motioning to Mark to like, or Steven to like, move the sky with him, and everything was just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that really sad moment where, Khonshu tells Steven, tell Mark to like find me when stuff goes down. So, it was so sad. And he ends up being like a little, like a statue.
Little paperweight.
Little paperweight.
Little paperweight.
Sold at the museum.
Oh.
Going back to Steven.
Somewhere in a pyramid.
Yeah, exactly.
Steven, we had to sell all these paperweights.
No.
That should be an episode on its own, Steven chasing down this little girl who bought the Khonshu paperweight.
That's the right one.
He's like, that is an Egyptian god you're holding.
Why not have this one? I want that one.
I have to point out, we spent 3 episodes of Khonshu really just being derogatory to Steven as a character, the worm, the idiot, all of that. I think this is the first time that we've actually seen some sort of legitimate trust with Khonshu and Steven, which is one of the things that I love in terms of character progression here. I know that he doesn't have a whole lot of options, but Stephen kind of saving the day with his knowledge of Egyptology, knowledge of the star maps, everything.
Yeah.
That's him stepping up. We've seen him mostly literally in this episode in the backseat, but mostly when he's in the forefront, kind of doing a lot of things incompetently, not through any fault of his own. He's just not a spy or a superhero.
Yeah,
or
like when it comes to him bringing his skill set to the table, it shines when it's like what he can lend to, as opposed to like when Mark was trying to do like the Egyptology stuff, he was just telling on himself.
Exactly. Yeah. And Khonshu, I think, sees that and kind of at least respects, it develops a little bit more respect for him in this, to the point where he allows him to help him manipulate the sky. Not that, again, he has a whole lot of options, but that's a huge task to ask of anyone. And to allow Stephen to do that and not command Stephen to bring out Mark, that's something. That's growth, I think, in their relationship, because that's just as equally important as the Khonshu Mark relationship. So I don't know what anyone else thought of that.
No, I agree. That's all I have to say, honestly.
Yeah.
We are on the same page with this, and oh my gosh, like I just want that. Like, how they have those Disney Plus Star Wars ambiance video clips, where it's just like, oh, this is the waters on Naboo, or like going to the Force.
That'd be great, actually.
If they had something like that for that,
the
like just
stars.
the stars, just
that'd be nice to like fall asleep to, and just
it would be really, really gorgeous.
I think we'll definitely be seeing that for sure. Yeah. Like
the sounds of being blipped. Sounds of being...
The waterfalls of Wakanda.
The waterfalls of Wakanda.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else relaxing in the MCU.
True.
Everything's pretty stressful.
But yeah. Even
Ant-Man
like
playing the drums. Lockdown with Ant-Man.
Yeah, I wonder what the quantum realm sounds like.
Yeah, quantum realm.
Yeah, I wonder what being trapped in there for 5 minutes.
Creepy ass little dust mites just going across the screen while
and
they should like do like a whole U-log thing where you just like random things pass by.
I love those. I love those.
3 hours of it. It's like, oh, there's a thing on this time stamp right there. Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah,
can be hit with like a PIM thing and like gets giant, shrinks down. That'd be awesome. But yeah, to close out the episode here, we end on a villain's monologue. And so how is Hera in this like pyramid too? It's like, if he's like a normal man now, how are the gods like? This is where I think I agree. Like Osiris has to be in on it, because it's just him and Osiris at the end, and he like villain monologues and is like, I'm thankful for all the cruelty because it forged me and it makes me appreciate healing. Like that's some like real like toxic positivity there, where it's all that you did to me like made me better or whatever, and trying to like admit that he enjoyed, that he like dealt all the pain he did, but is gonna accomplish what he couldn't. And I don't know, I don't trust Harrow. I think that he's not a good man. No,
I think he's gonna turn on his own people, maybe.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like he's collecting souls, like we said, so
to put in cupcakes.
To put in
cupcakes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, to kind of put it on Khonshu too, like this, everything that I'm gonna do, it's because you did this, I mean, I'm like, you're a douchebag.
It's like, no, you can definitely control what you yourself are doing. Don't like try to justify your actions, I'm like, no.
But that conviction, I mean, like he genuinely does think that he's doing right. And mad props to Ethan Hawke for just a tremendous, performance here. He's he's selling me on a villain that I think in the hands of a lesser actor would be very one note.
Yeah.
Hawk gives him this charisma that you understand why, you know, so many people would follow this guy, and
Yeah.
you know, he genuinely truly believes, you know, there's that whole cliche, you know, odd pearl about how the villain thinks that he's the hero of his own story. In this case, it couldn't be more true. You know, he literally thinks what he's doing is right, and it just comes across in this monologue. So yeah, he's kind of terrifying that way.
Very true.
I think your audio cut out a little bit, Sabina.
Oh no, I am back. Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with everything everyone is saying, and you know, just wanted to know to close out. We'll go through everyone's final thoughts. I mean, like I said, I think he's a bad dude. I don't trust him. He has this like crazy like energy woo woo like I'm gonna make things right and thinks he's the hero sort of vibe, and nope, I'm not buying what he's selling.
Knowing what we know after watching, you know, all the episodes, not all, the 4 episodes, he has a way with words, and sometimes I find myself like, this guy might be right, you know, but when we know he's the villain, and so yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I share the same sentiments, because there'll be times like in the previous episode where he was speaking and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, wait, hold up. No, he's evil. Like, you know, but you can see, right, how he's charming and manipulative. And that's actually even more scary than someone just being plain out evil, because you already know that's bad. But he's disguising it and gaslighting. And that's what makes it, you know, that's why, like, you know, Sabina was saying, I definitely think that there's other gods involved and there's something shady going on behind the scenes.
It's very hard to hear, you know, bad things coming out of Ethan Hawke and hate him, because you just get lost in those eyes, and it just takes you back to Before Sunrise, and you know,
Yeah.
that, and you're just like, what was that about genocide? I
I forgot.
Thank you for this
Yeah.
lentil soup. It's delicious.
you can cook and you're dreamy, so you know, I'm just gonna listen to you this whole time. That's probably how he charmed Osiris, you know. Took him on a nice day out in Paris or something like that. But
That's all it took.
That's all it took.
They watched the Sunrise trilogy.
Just watch the Sunrise trilogy and talk about life and philosophy, everything in between. No, he's a charismatic guy, Harrow is, and a scary one, but you kind of get him. He's despicable.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I'm excited for next week's episode. It's gonna be wild, and we'll all be on the same page by then. I'm Sabina, and I think Oscar Isaac is dreamy, and Ethan Hawke is also dreamy. So I'm just gonna throw that in there, because we've been doing a good job of not like going too crazy on the thirst. I mean, that everyone in the show is very attractive, and I can't wait to see what happens with them. I really hope that Steven saves Leila and Mark and Steven's marriage. Yeah, like, you know, there's gonna be a lot that happens. That's, you know, we can really share and say, and this show is awesome, and I can't wait for more. You can find me here on Nom Talk, and at Sabina Has No R on Twitter, and I have been so deep into Moon Knight world that I'm just like, I've run out of things that I can say. But we'll just go around and have everyone, you know, tell us where we can find you.
So I'm Michael Lee, and you can find me at I am Michael J. Lee on most of the social media places out there. And I also write for Nerds of Color, that's in LA, and We Live Entertainment.
Awesome. And I'm Whitney, and you can find me under whimsical Whitney _ on Instagram, and Whitney Wallace on Facebook. I am a theme culinarian artist and singer. So yeah, I always post all kinds of fun themed stuff.
Make some Turkish delights.
Honestly, yeah,
Oh,
I think
yes.
I'm going to.
After seeing those cupcakes you made, oh my gosh, I want to see more. Like
I'm gonna do it.
more of your stuff.
You have to. Oh man. And I'm Moon Knight Mike, Mike Manalo. I'm also on the Nerds of Color, and that's at LA, but also on whattowatch.com. You can see my weekly Moon Knight recaps. Halfway through the series so far, and I think it's going to be my favorite. We'll see how it plays out, but hands down, I'm loving this show so much. You can find me at TidyBullBoy182 on Twitter and Instagram, or just on the Nerds of Color and What to Watch, and that's at LA.
Go follow us on all the places. Follow Nom Talk, and we'll see you next week.